Former President Robert Mugabe's widow Grace and daughter, Bona, hugged and exchanged pleasantries with President Emmerson Mnangagwa during swearing in the latest public demonstration of a thaw in relations between the former allies turned foes. Gucci Grace returns. Grace Mugabe's multi-million-dollar outfit and designer handbag steal the show at President Mnangagwa's inauguration. Grace Mugabe, the former First Lady, caused quite a stir when she attended President Emmerson Mnangagwa's inauguration and swearing-in ceremony at the National Sports Stadium. Yet, amidst this apparent shift, one aspect remains unchanged: Grace Mugabe's enduring penchant for luxury and opulence. Famously nicknamed Gucci Grace due to her fondness for high-end designer brands, she donned an extravagant ensemble from head to toe, worth millions of Zimbabwean dollars. Unsurprisingly, her outfit became the focal point of social media discussions. It was the first public appearance in years by the former First Lady, who has kept a low profile since her husband was ousted in a military-assisted coup by the incumbent in November 2017. What would follow were tense relations between the former First family and the Zimbabwe strongman. The pinnacle of the conflict was seen in 2019 when the family vehemently fought an attempt by Mnangagwa to bury Mugabe at the National Heroes Acre, where a mausoleum was built in honor of the founding leader by his successor. It is, however, not the first time for Bona to attend Mnangagwa's inauguration. Mugabe's surviving family, that was revealed to be sitting on multiple farms outside the country's one farm per family policy, is seen attempting to ingratiate itself with the incumbent in attempts to protect its vast property portfolio. In a radio interview and using Grace Mugabe's moniker, Mnangagwa said, "I know of one lady stop it who is about 16, yet the law says one family one farm." Similarly, divorce proceedings between Bona and husband have exposed that the two individually or jointly owned properties worth millions, including 21 farms and more than 25 upmarket residential properties. Who is Grace Mugabe? Grace Mugabe is a Zimbabwean entrepreneur, politician and the widow of the late President Robert Mugabe. She served as the First Lady of Zimbabwe from 1996 until her husband's resignation in November 2017, a week after he was ousted from power. Grace Mugabe is known for her lavish lifestyle, and Western media has nicknamed her Gucci Grace. The Daily Telegraph called her notorious at home for her profligacy in the coverage of a 2003 trip to Paris, during which she was reported as spending $120,000 in a short shopping spree, and in the years leading up to 2004 withdrew over £5 million from the Central Bank of Zimbabwe. When Grace Mugabe was included in the 2002 sanctions, one EU parliamentarian said that the ban would stop Grace Mugabe going on her shopping trips in the face of catastrophic poverty blighting the people of Zimbabwe. She faces similar sanctions in the United States. At the heart of Grace Mugabe's extraordinary journey from struggling single mother to the most powerful woman in Zimbabwe is a love story. In the early 1990s, Grace, a young married woman who had secured a job in the president's typing pool, found that the president kept sticking around to say hello. "He came to me and started asking about my family," she told South African journalist Ali Tambo in 2013, in a rare interview. "He just started talking to me, asking me about my life. Were you married before, things like that. I didn't know it was leading somewhere. I was quite a shy person, very shy." The Anglophile president wooed Grace over tea and scones, but there were a couple of obstacles to their relationship. One was the age gap. President Mugabe is 40 years older than Grace. Another was the fact that the president was already married to Sally Mugabe, who at the time had terminal cancer. "I felt a bit uncomfortable when he proposed to me since he was still married to Sally," she said. Robert Mugabe, never a great romantic, took a practical approach. "It was necessary for me to look for someone, and, even as Sally was still going through her last few days, although it might have appeared to some as cruel, I decided to make love to Grace. She happened to be one of the nearest and she was a divorcee herself. And so it was," he said in the same interview. Sally died in 1992. Grace and Robert were married in 1996 in a lavish ceremony attended by 40,000 people, including Nelson Mandela. By then the couple already had 2 children and a third would arrive a year later. Controversial doctorate degree in disgrace. Controversy ensued when Grace Mugabe was given a doctoral degree in sociology in September 2014 from the University of Zimbabwe 2 months after entering the program. She was awarded the degree by her husband and University Chancellor Robert Mugabe. Her doctoral thesis was not published in the university archive along with other graduates, and she has faced calls to return her PhD. The awarding of the degree caused a backlash in the Zimbabwean academic community, with some commenting that this could harm the reputation of the university. On January 22, 2018, the university website published Grace Mugabe's PhD thesis, without a signature page of a doctoral committee. Levi Nyagura, the vice-chancellor of the University of Zimbabwe, was arrested in 2018 by the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission to be charged with abuse of office following an investigation into the PhD. Mugabe's reputation for violence and hot temper earned her the nickname of disgrace at home. There have also been incidents abroad. The Times reported on January 18, 2009 that, while on a shopping trip in Hong Kong where her daughter Bona Mugabe was a university student, Mugabe ordered her bodyguard to assault Sunday Times photographer Richard Jones outside her luxury hotel. She then joined in the attack, punching Jones repeatedly in the face while wearing diamond-encrusted rings, causing him cuts and abrasions. She was subsequently granted immunity from prosecution under Chinese diplomatic rules because of her status as Mugabe's wife. In 2017, Grace's Mazowe citrus estate took control of 60% of the Mazowe Dam. On August 24, 2018, Zimbabwe President Emmerson Mnangagwa issued a provision ordering the Mugabe family to vacate the dam and return their share to the Environment, Water, and Climate Ministry. A police spokeswoman stated on March 26, 2018 that they were investigating a case of alleged ivory smuggling linked to Grace. The spokesman for Zimbabwe's National Parks and Wildlife Agency stated that Mugabe and senior members of her staff had forced parks officials to sign export permits for ivory pieces during her husband's presidency. After the death of Robert Mugabe, Zimbabwe's former President Robert Mugabe died a bitter man after his longtime minion Emmerson Mnangagwa removed him from power in November 2017. But Mnangagwa has enacted a law that will allow Mugabe's widow Grace to live lavishly for the rest of her life. By decree, President Mnangagwa has made statutory instrument, SI, 261 of 2020 for spouses of former presidents, with relatively generous benefits. The law covers the wives of anyone who has been the country's president since December 31, 1987. That means Grace Mugabe, 55, is the only beneficiary. The widow of Zimbabwe's first president Canaan Banana, 1980-87, Janet Banana, 82, does not benefit. Banana was a ceremonial president. Grace Mugabe is spoilt for choice between a Mercedes-Benz E300 or one four-wheel drive station wagon, or an equivalent or similar class of motor vehicle and one pickup van for personal use. If she chose the Mercedes-Benz E300, the government would have to part with $108,000 for the latest entry-level model. And there are potentially more vehicles for her. As seen fit by the president, she qualifies to get additional cars to be used by her staff. All vehicles will be fueled and serviced, courtesy of the state. After 5 years elapse, Grace Mugabe will qualify for a new set of wheels and get to keep the old vehicles. Grace Mugabe net worth, she is estimated to be worth billions. Robert Mugabe and his wife Grace built up a huge personal fortune and property empire while their countrymen suffered in the starvation and grinding poverty that his brutal regime brought about. Mugabe, who died in Singapore today at the age of 95, owned a lavish 25-bedroom mansion in Harare and a luxury villa in Hong Kong while his playboy sons lived in luxury in Dubai and South Africa. Leaked diplomatic cables estimated the family wealth at more than $1 billion, including 6 residences and a series of farms around the country. The controversial land seizures which the Zimbabwean president claimed would distribute land to poor black people also boosted the Mugabe's own property empire, while causing economic crisis. The Mugabe mansion in Harare's Borrowdale suburb became known as the Blue Roof House for its turquoise tiles imported from China. Set in extensive grounds, the property had 25 bedrooms with ensuite bathrooms and spas, massive reception rooms and a series of offices. In 2002, Grace Mugabe toured farm properties in Zimbabwe, looking for a new location for herself and her family. She chose the Iron Mask Estate, which had been previously owned by farmers John and Eva Matthews. It was reported in 2015 that Zimbabwe was involved in a legal dispute over the ownership of the property in Tai Po in which Bona Mugabe had stayed whilst a student in Hong Kong. The property had been acquired in June 2008 through a company controlled by Taiwanese-born South African businessman Shea Ping Sung for $5.14 million and transferred into his own name in 2010. The Mugabes alleged that the villa belonged to the Zimbabwean government, while Shea, who was once a Mugabe confidant, claims there was no question that the house belonged to him. Thank you for watching our video. Please like the video and subscribe to our channel.